Welcome to another episode of Unfiltered Live. Super excited to be here with you guys. I just wrapped up a talk. I'm down in Florida in St. Pete, as the hipsters call it. I think it's on the map. It's called St. Petersburg. I was here to give a talk at Ryan McGinn's 1 million views event, and just wrapped up. And we borrowed a little podcasting studio here. So the talk I gave here was I talked about purpose, I talked about genius, and I talked about Simplero, and specifically tying everything around with the idea of simplicity. There's something that I wanted to share that came up for me that I'm curious if that resonates for you guys, which is so for me, speaking on stage is something that's a little scary for me. When I first got into online courses, that was in 2008. And it's because I wanted to teach spirituality to entrepreneurs. And I was scared of, I was like, I know I need to teach this stuff, but I have no idea how. Do I do a seminar or a workshop, or like, how do I even begin? How do I get people to show up? Like, rent a room? Like, how do you do this kind of shit? Right. So, and that's when I discovered, so I started Googling how to market a workshop, I think it was. And that's when I came across Jeff Walker's product launch formula and bought that and learned about online courses. And I was thrilled because I was like, yes, this happens on a computer and I can sit behind a screen and I can do this and I don't have to get out in front of an audience. And so, and I haven't actually been out I've done stuff in person, but I haven't been speaking for many, many years. So this came about because Bryson, my man over here, what up, Bryson? he was like, he got me this speaking gig. And I was like, okay, let's roll. Then I actually had to go up and speak and be in front of this audience. I'll be honest, like I was nervous about it. There's like, this is much more comfortable for me. But actually standing there in front of a live audience, I don't know, there's something like back in the day, I did a mastermind group in 2009 that was in person, and it was just me and 9 other people around my kitchen table or my dining table in my house back then. And that was scary as fuck, because like, what if I say something and they don't like it and they're there in the room with me? When I was shooting video, I don't have to like deal with however people feel about it, right? So there's something about that was really scary for me. And so I haven't really done speaking since then. And so coming into this event, I was kind of nervous. And then my wife last night, she said, hey, like, just enjoy the nervousness. It's the little boy coming out of his den. And there's something about that way of thinking about it, the way that she said it, of like, hey, it's just the little boy inside of me coming out of the den is kind of very much my journey, because I created this den inside of myself of like, I could be isolated in this room, like behind the computer, all that stuff. But in general, thinking about like whatever you're going through in your business that you're nervous about, maybe it's putting out videos, maybe it's sending emails, maybe it's getting up on stage and getting in front of audiences, speaking, putting yourself out there, maybe it's getting on sales calls, right? It's natural to be nervous about these things. And if you can think about it as like, hey, it's just your little boy, your little girl kind of coming out and playing, coming out of the hiding, I feel like that's a lot more like I can have compassion for him, and then I can step into being the adult in the room that's like, hey, I get it, you're nervous. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fun. Like, we're going to have a good time. I'll hold you, I'll grab your hand and hold you. We're going to go out here and we're going to do this and we're going to have a good time. And so wanted to offer that to you guys as a reframe, as a way to think about it. Another thing that can be helpful when you're going through something that you're nervous about is to think about it as like, you just need to get the reps in. Let me put it a different way. I read a book from Ed Sheeran years ago. It's like, it's an odd kind of book. It's kind of him with someone else, and there's a lot of illustrations. It's not really like a book. It's more like a illustration book kind of thing, but it's very sweet. And in there, he talks about how, as a songwriter, the first 100 songs that you write are shit. So it's just a matter of getting the first 100 songs written and out as soon as possible. And then once you're past number 100, like chances are some of them, you're actually going to start writing some good stuff. So I think of it the same way. Like I intend to be a very well-known, high-paid, sought after keynote speaker. That's what I want to be. And I know my style, the style I want to be is like, I don't have a fixed talk that I give. I step in front of the audience and I read the room. I talk to people. I see what they need to hear. And then I draw on my insane repertoire of stuff to what I think is going to be most helpful for these people. And so that style of speaking is a little more risky because I don't have a PowerPoint and a fixed thing that I can lean on. But for me, it's less risky because I can just be in response to the people in the room. And so the way I think of it is like, I just need to get the reps in, right? So this was rep number 1. It goes, I'll give it my best, but it doesn't matter if it was good or bad. I'm not going to let my emotions, how I feel about myself or how I feel in general, be impacted by whether it went good or bad. I'm just going to be like, great, one more rep. And same thing, like if you're getting into sales and it's new and uncomfortable, it's like, all right, just got to get the first 100 sales calls done. It's going to be awkward. It's okay that it's awkward for the first 100. It's okay that you make a ton of mistakes because that's how you learn. Just get the first 100 in. Your first 100 songs are going to be shitty. Your first 100 sales calls are going to be shitty. Your first 100 times you speak are going to be shitty. Your first 100 emails or blog posts are going to be shitty. And if they're not, that's just a bonus. How about that? So it reframes it to being, hey, anything above shitty is like, win. And even just honestly getting up there and doing it, win. So take the win. Take the win. What do you say, Bryson?
I agree 1,000% with that, man. Finding the reps, getting the stuff in is really crazy. And I want to say this, guys. He rocked out. I'm sure he's being very humble. First of all, in his take on what he did today, but he totally rocked out, and it was good to see him and to be a part of that process. So I definitely want to say that, bro.
Thanks, man.
Great job for sure, man. You touched some hearts and really made an impact and really pushed the Simplero brand big time. So that was rep 1 of 100. But I'll say this, even as a speaker myself, it took me about like 6 or 7 years of really find my flow and to find my voice, because I speak as a pastor, as a minister. I speak every week, twice a week. So I'm getting, maybe 100 in a year. And even still then it's like, okay, I don't suck. But then it's like then finding my voice and crafting my voice. So I agree with this 1,000% that, excellence and success really definitely requires those reps, and those reps are key. And just be fine, sucking. It's the tracer bullet method for whatever you're doing in life, I guess.
Right. It really is like, I talk about the concept of turning pro as well, which I got from Stephen Pressfield. It's like, if you show up, like whatever it is, right? Like maybe you're new to online business and like all this, landing pages and copy and newsletter, all that stuff, funnels, all that stuff is a little complicated. If you commit to showing up, let's just say like 2 hours every day, let's say 5 days a week for a year, you're going to be amazing at it by the end of the year, right? You're going to learn so much. A lot of people, they start working and then they're like, oh, this is complicated. And then they give up. That's the moment that you gotta like, just keep going. Because if you like, it's like, it's complicated. I don't understand. It's difficult. I like, whoa. Oh, wait, no, it's starting to make sense. Oh, now I get it. Oh, yeah. And then it's like things start to fall into place. I remember back in the day of the early days of podcasting, and the guy who invented podcasting, guy named David Weiner, lives in New York City. And I don't know him. I've never met him, but he's a friend of I have several friends. We have several friends in common. So he's like sort of in my circles. And so he invented podcasting. Actually, one of my friends wrote the first, it was called a pot catching software back then with Dave Wiener way back in the day. This is like 2004-ish, 4 or 5-ish, around that time period. And he wrote that with Dave. And so I was like, all right, this is interesting. I got to check this thing out. I should have started a podcast too and kept at it, but I didn't do that. But I was like, I started reading his blog. It's scripting news. I think it's scriptingnews.com, because it was pre.news being a domain thing. And I'd read his blog. He was the one who invented blogging as well. Like, he's quite the interesting character. Look him up. He's quite fascinating. And so I was like, I should read his blog and really understand his thinking. And I remember just how impenetrable it was at first. And I was reading that. I was like, I don't understand a damn thing he's writing about. But I just kept at it, reading and reading and reading, and like sometimes looking up and Googling for certain things. And then, like, I don't even remember when exactly, but there's like, all of a sudden I was like, oh yeah, I totally understand everything, right? That's how it is to learn anything, is you just get in there, and like, at first you're like, this is right? And then like sooner or later it's like, oh yeah, totally, right? And the trick is then, as you do that, you've all done that with something, with whatever your expertise is, and probably multiple times with multiple things. But then the trick is to be able to go back and remember what that was like. And that's hard. Remember what it was like when you first started out. What language were you using? And how were you describing your problems? How were you thinking about it back then, before you knew everything you know today? Because that's what you need to do in order to actually sell to these people, in order to be credible, be someone that they listen to and trust to help them solve this problem. You have to be able to speak their language. But most of us, once we learn all that stuff, we kind of just totally absorb all of the geek speak, all of the lingo, all of the technical language around our expertise. And then we go out and we talk in this way to an audience, and they don't get it because they don't know all that language. And then you become impenetrable to them. You don't want that. You want to be someone that they can easily grok, easily understand what you're talking about. So it's hard to go back and do that. And I think part of it psychologically is that, like, we hate feeling incompetent. We hate feeling stupid. And so, like, that was a icky feeling. And then, like, you hear these people use all of this in language, and there's a place for insider language that has a place also in marketing, but not here, not in this way. But we see these people using all these insider words, and then we're like, oh, I want to be like them, or like, you kind of want to be smart like them. And so we start to adopt it so that we can feel like we belong, and we're not one of those like stupid people that we used to be. But now when we speak that way, they feel stupid, right? So I think it's something that I work on for the company as well. You see a lot of companies that they have their own internal processes and departments and languages and like words that they use for stuff. And then when you interact with a company, they start to spew all of their internal stuff at you as a client. And I'm like, it's not my job to be an expert on how your company functions internally. Like, I'm telling you what my problem is. Like, it's your job to figure out what you need to do inside the company to solve that. I don't need to know this stuff, right? But it's so hard for people to step out of that. And I like, when you're in a company, you need to know all of that internal lingo. But then you need to also, when you're talking to customers, know to leave that behind and speak a language that the customers understand. And as a company owner, it's something that I think about and I work on with my team to, like, I don't want my team to be responding as like we have support and concierge are two things that those are client facing, but we shouldn't expect our clients to know the difference when we're interacting with them, like in support tickets, for example, right? That needs to be explained if we use those words, or like maybe we have like a first tier and a tier 2 and a tier, those are also fairly common sense things, but in general, like not using, like not built not putting all of your internal stuff on the clients. It's not for them to, they shouldn't need to understand that or to navigate that. Something that's on my mind too is sales. So I've been mostly doing in my career, I've mostly been doing sales via like self-serve, right? So send people to a sales page, sell via email, and just be like, okay, here's the thing. I pour my heart and soul into and blood, sweat, and tears into the copy on the landing page, on the sales page, in the emails, and like, here's the thing, like, do you want to go buy it? All right, I'll see you on the other side, kind of thing. But recently, about a month ago, we hired our first salesperson on the team, and it's phenomenal just how well that works. It's so much easier to sell that way, especially when it's high ticket stuff. It's not, we have a really good sales guy, Sammy. Some of you have met him. But if you're, and obviously like you kind of need to know a little bit about sales, but I'm amazed at just how easy that is. If you have a really good offer, a really good offer that people want, and then you have a sales conversation, you can pretty easily drive leads to that sales conversation. And if it's high ticket enough, then the math works out with the advertising. So we're not doing ads to the sales conversation yet. We're only doing internal for now, but we're going to start doing the ads very soon, like in the next month. And I'm going to bring on 2 more salespeople, like this week or next week. So going really hard on sales, and it's something my brother is in sales and has been in sales for many years, and I've kind of been poo-pooing him and been like, oh, Thomas, yeah, this whole sales thing it's part of my nerdy, anti-social programmer kind of background, where like me, I don't want to be in a sales call. Like, don't get me on a sales call. That's not the way to make the sale to me. Like, for me, just tell me what it is, tell me what the price is, and like, I'll buy it, right? I don't take me through a sales conversation, but most people are not like me. So I sent him a voice message the other day. I was like, hey, Thomas, like, heads off. Like, I've eaten the humble pie. You're right. Sales is phenomenal. It really works. I love it. It's so good. So, yeah, if that's not something that you've dove into yet, doing sales, especially if you're doing high ticket, you're thinking about doing high ticket, I would strongly recommend that. And we're actually in the process of building features into Simplero to support that, with our friends at the Pampa program. They're so that you can track your deal flow through the stages of your sales pipeline. It's going to be a really killer feature that I'm really looking forward to rolling out. So we're going to use it ourselves. The Pampa program is using it, and if you're interested in beta testing it, let us know, and we can see if we can get you in on that program. But yeah, it's going to be a killer feature. So sales, I can't tell you the scripts for the sales conversation, all that stuff. I don't have all that stuff memorized. I'm not the person who runs those. Sammy does. And I think he's doing some training on that in Simplero Academy as well. So if you're interested in learning more about sales, Sammy is teaching that stuff in Simplero Academy. So just reach out to sammy@simplero.com, and you can get on a call with him and see if that's something that's a fit for you. But yeah, sales is powerful. I released a training in Simplero Academy too on JV. JV is, so when it comes to driving traffic, right? We can get traffic from paid ads, which is great, because you can quickly turn on the spigot, right? You create an ad, you set up your audience, and within, like, you just need to wait, 6-12 hours, whatever, for Facebook or Google or TikTok or whatever it is to approve your ad, and then you're up and running and you're getting eyeballs immediately. And it's just a matter of how much do you want, how much do you want to pay for it. So paid is awesome. And if you then drive people to a short video, like webinar or video sales letter kind of thing, that primes them for your offer, and then you ask them to schedule a conversation with your salesperson, that can really work. And by the way, believe me, we're going to build in a scheduling feature in Simplero. Q1 is my target for that, but that's for sure coming. Because then you can run the whole thing in Simplero, right? And then we're going to be adding live streaming and video. So then, like, literally the whole damn thing. But you can do that. You can do it now with the video as well. Anyway, so paid is great, but paid is getting more and more expensive, and it's only going to get more expensive over time. And so the way that the easiest way to make that work is obviously have a killer offer, but have a high ticket offer. And so you drive traffic to your video, to a sales conversation. That's where you close them. That really works. That works like gangbusters. I mean, that's what the pump-up program is doing. They're on track to making 35 million this year. That's their model. That's it. That model really works. Really, really works. All right. So paid is a great source of traffic. The challenge with paid is that the risk is on you, right? You need to get the creative right. You need to get the targeting right. You need to get the whole process, the video, the sales conversation, the offer, all these things right. If it's not working, you're still out the same amount of money in ads, but you're not making any, right? So the risk is entirely on you. Like Zuckerberg gets rich whether or not you get rich, right? Or his shareholders or whatever. So that's paid. Then there's organic. So organic is where you optimize your website for keywords for Google, and you write articles and you get links. Organic's awesome because once you do that work, then organic can keep paying off month after month after month. You may have to do a little bit to maintain it, continue to do some link building if there's competition in your niche on those keywords, but it'll just keep paying off for a long, long time. You put in the investment now, keeps paying off. The downside is that you need to invest now before you know whether it's going to work out. And it takes like 4 to 6 months to really start to see results. It depends on how competitive your niche is. Ours is super competitive, right? We're up against people who have lots of money to spend, venture funds, lots of money to spend on all of this. So paid is very expensive, and organic is very expensive. So we got to write like 10,000 word long pillar content articles, or even longer sometimes, because Google ranks longer content higher. And then we got to build links, meaning you don't want just crap links. You want to get good links. So I think we're paying $250 per link. Some of the links are $500 per link, and we typically need 150 links per article to make it rank, right? So that gets expensive pretty quick, and it takes a long time. We're investing in that. That's great. So that's paid. It's organic. The third, and the organic, there's organic social as well, which we're here at an event in Florida, which is all about TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels. If we're talking organic social, that's where it's at. That's where it's at. Ryan McGinn, the organizer of the event, was just talking about how YouTube Shorts is actually in many ways in the lead right now in terms of generating traffic. So if you get a video to go viral, like it's going to do better on YouTube Shorts than on TikTok generally. But otherwise, TikTok is the big thing. So those two, and Instagram Reels as the third, but that's further down the line. Like if you can make that game work, that will get you like 1 million views, right? And that will get you a lot of eyeballs. Now, the way to get eyeballs there is you need to speak to the people who are most active online, and those are the 17-year-olds. So you have to speak to what they're interested in. And then when you capture their attention, you have other content on your profile that are more for your niche audience. But if you don't engage the 17-year-olds, nobody's going to see your stuff, because it's all interest graph based, and it's all based on what people are actually watching and engaging with. So you got to get the engagement from those 17-year-olds, or nothing else matters. So that's a game that you can play. We're playing it. So I hired Ryan McGinn and his firm. We're paying them $6,000 a month to do TikTok and YouTube Shorts and that kind of stuff for us. We just started, like they started posting content, like a couple of weeks ago? Yeah. So it's still quite new, but I'm very committed to making that channel work and figuring out how to make it work for us. But again, it takes a lot of work to do it. I mean, if you're a solo person that is really into it, you can do it everything yourself and crack it and really break through. I don't have the time to do that. I need to spend my time building a company, building software, and all that. So I have to hire the help to do it. It's a bit of a different game. But that's where the organic social attention is. If you're interested in getting organic social traffic, YouTube Shorts and TikTok, that's the game. It's the only game that matters right now. That's the game that you have to play. Now, third form of traffic that you can get, we talked about paid, we talked about organic. The third one is partner. It's by far my favorite. Partner is where you're just linking up with other people like yourself, right? Other creators out there, other educators, coaches, consultants who have already built an audience. However they've done it, with paid, organic, partner, doesn't matter. They've built the audience. They have the emails, they have the social following, but most of all, they have the emails. Because you don't turn your social following into emails, you're gonna risk losing it eventually, either because they ban your account, or because they shadow ban you, or they just like distribution goes down, right? Like there was a time that if you posted on your Facebook fan page, people would see it in their news feed. Those days are long gone, right? So you may still have your Facebook page, but the distribution just isn't there anymore. It's always going to happen. So you want to get the emails so that you have a way to reach people. And so partner is where you're just making friends with other people in the field. Like what I love about it is that, so another word for this is JV. So when you partner, you're finding someone who has the audience, and you're saying, hey, I'll pay you anywhere from 10% to 50% to maybe 100%, 200% sometimes strategically, but only for low ticket stuff. But I'll pay you a percentage of the money that I make that comes from you. And you only pay them if you're making money, and you're paying someone who's your peer, not Zuck, not Google, BlackRock, whoever those like big funds that actually own these companies. Though those are not the ones that you're paying. You're actually paying your peer. So I like that so much better. And what I love about it is it's risk-free. It's also very quick. You get them to transfer their credibility, their authority, and their warm relationship with their audience to you, right? So you're a warm introduction to their audience. It's so much easier to make that sale now. But the bonus is that you get to make friends in the process, right? You actually get to build real friendships with these people that you're working with. And that to me is like, that's the icing on top. It's so good. So I just created an in-depth course on JV, on partnerships, as my favorite customer acquisition strategy, my favorite traffic strategy, that's in Simplero Academy. So if you're interested in that, reach out to Sammy at simplero.com and have a chat with him, or yeah, do that. And again, see if that's a fit, because we want, the whole purpose of Simplero Academy is to teach you guys exactly what works. And there's so much stuff out there. There's so much information. So cut all the fluff and teach you exactly what works and what you need to know to reach that success that you want, and that you deserve, and be able to have that impact on your audience that you want and deserve. So that's the game. That's what Simplero Academy is for. I can't read the chat from here. Do we have questions, or do we have?
Yes, we do have questions.
Nice.
We've got a lot of great questions here. Matter of fact, we've got Johan. I don't know if he's locked and loaded still. Hope I said your name right.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I just joined the academy, so I listened to your JV course today.
Awesome.
Actually, it's great stuff. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
And
Man.
I resonate a lot with that. But I'm in a phase where I'm building my offering and my service. So I'm not there yet to create the JVs, but I'm working on building it, from the honest side of what really works with people. So I have 6 people in the test group running my program.
Awesome.
And it's about changing lifestyle in the middle-age kind of phase where people are, making their habits more sustainable and making a change that actually lasts forever.
Love
in
it.
life, to make life better and longer, hopefully. And I have a lot of friends, who get things too far around me, even deaths and illnesses and stuff. When you turn 50, you kind of realize that time is valuable, right?
Absolutely. I'm almost there, man. A year and a half.
Yeah. So that's all about my kind of offering, and I'm running the program with live people, and trying to adapt it.
Are they paying you?
We go. Yeah, they're paying me.
Great.
And actually bringing on partners for free, because it's easier if you to change habits and stuff like that. So it works well. It's kind of a friendly circle, but I think it's a great test group, because you can really try things out and you get honest opinions and stuff like that. So, and the great thing is it works well. People lost a lot of weight and they're getting a new life. Even my best friend got a new girlfriend because he's really feeling well, and all that stuff. So it's really great.
Awesome.
But,
love it.
Yeah, but on my ideas, looking at your suggestions about packaging the product and also offering a few options, do it yourself, do it together, or help you with everything, right? So you have 3 different options. So I guess what I'm trying out now is to do the middle part, like trying out sort of a VIP offering where I help them with some stuff, but I can also do a lot of stuff online. But then I'm working on my digital version, the offline, online version, where you want to launch something that actually people can work on themselves, and it's more easy to sell and it scales a bit better. So my question is really about, because how perfect should it be before you launch things like this? Because I understand, there is 3 components basically. It's a course or lessons about changing habits, understanding how your brain works and all that. And then
So let me just cut to because I get your question. Let me just answer. How perfect does it need to be? Not very perfect at all. And let me explain. So what you want to do is, if your intention is to make sure that people get value from your product, right? Or from your offer, that they get the value. And if your commitment to yourself is you're going to do whatever is necessary to make sure that they get the value. They need to do their part, obviously, but you're going to do everything that you can to make sure that they get the result. If that's your approach, it doesn't have to be that perfect, because people come in, you don't know exactly yet what it is they're going to need, what's going to work for them, what's going to resonate. So you have to develop it with them. I know it's a do it yourself, not the done with you, but still those early cohorts, you got to work with them so that you can tailor it to them. And then it's like, all right, this is what I had planned, these like 6 modules and these like this content. And then you go and you're like, okay, there's still a piece missing. Let's add that. Okay, let's do some more, right? So you just keep building it. Like the goal is not to be like, oh, this is the box and this is what they get and that's it. The goal is to get the result, and you're figuring out how to deliver that for them in a do-it-yourself method. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, because if that's your approach, like you can always add extra stuff, right? You can actually always be like, okay, now we need to have some more coaching. Maybe you actually do need a one-on-one call. Let's add that. Like you can always add extra. So if you know that, like that, just like put it out there the way it is, get the feedback and make it better. You know, trace
So
your
I guess you have to decide where do I have to stop developing stuff when you start
way
focusing on
sooner than you
launching,
think.
Yeah.
Way sooner than you think. Like you don't have to actually develop anything before you sell it. Build it as you go, because you know you can solve the problem and you know that you will continue till you solve the problem for them, right? The other thing I wanted to add is like do it yourself is way harder to sell and make money from than done with you. Because do it yourself, now you're competing with YouTube and TikTok and Google, and like the reality is for almost anything that you want to achieve in life, you can find it for free on YouTube or Twitter or Google or in cheap books or something online, right? If people really want something, they can find the information that they need for free online, which means most people don't really want it that bad, right? So a lot of the times, like when you're doing a do-it-yourself thing, you're competing with that, and your price point is lower. So it's a harder sale to make and you make less money. Yes, you can scale more, right? It's more scalable, so that's great. Just know that going in, that like be committed to that. So I love the done with you model because it's still quite scalable. And some of the things, like you can actually outsource, like a lot of if you're like, oh, okay, it involves coaching. Well, you can hire coaches really cheap. There are a lot of them. And then you educate them and they're all looking for work, right? There's so many coaches that are not good at business and they're out of work and they're poor. You can hire them pretty cheap and then you train them in your method, in your process, and then they can do a lot of the fulfillment for you. You got to make sure that the quality is there, obviously. So you have processes around that, but it's a way to like, I mean, that's how the Pompa brothers are doing 20 million, like 35 million this year, right? It's that model, that it's a coaching program, but there's content, there's course content, there's that you consume on your own, but there's actual coaches there and they have a whole program. And for hiring and training and managing their coaches, they're like over 100 people on the team and they're hiring pretty aggressively. And the trick is that funnel where you hire and you train and onboard coaches is the exact same model that you use to sell your products, right? It's the same thing.
I can duplicate myself, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You put an ad out, you send people to a webinar to let them know about the job and the opportunity. And then you get them to it's a little different than you have them jump through some hoops. We always have people send a video of themselves and answer some questions. And that whole thing, you can also just automate or systematize and have someone manage that whole process once you've built it out. And then, then you can scale it out. And people will pay much more for that. And it's much more valuable to them. And you make a lot more money that way. Easier to sell to.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense to have the different options, but then eventually pick the one in the middle, probably. I love the comparison. I think it was some of your customers compared Brad Pitt, an ugly one and a beautiful one, and then I think it was Clooney, and then you always lean towards the beautiful Brad Pitt kind of thing. That's how we work as human being. You pick something that you think fits yourself.
Yeah.
You have 3 options. So that's a good example. Anyway, yeah, thank you very much for the advice.
My pleasure.
Good
My
stuff.
pleasure. Thanks for coming on. Jeff, what you got?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Hey, Jeff, how's it going, man? I've seen your name pop up several times. Good to meet you.
Thank you, Calvin. Yeah, I've been with, so you're just like amazing genius and all the stuff you've done. It's just,
Oh,
and I love like your like attitude of, hey, I just gotta make this happen, and nobody can tell me it's not gonna happen because it's my world and my universe. And if I keep saying it's gonna happen, and that's kind of, so anyway, I ran a very successful one-man high-end portrait studio for 35 years. I have a crazy story, but in any case, I did really well, and I got burned out, and I retired 2 years ago. And so I built a Facebook site. I started writing in 2012. I have 10,000 members. And I did an online course on alliance marketing, did pretty well, sold. And then so over the last few years, I went from 2,000 people a day watching me to 200 or 300 just kind of disappeared. Actually, more people in my personal feed who are also 5,000 photographers. But anyway, I got into coaching. I've got 10 clients. I do this one-on-one coaching. I love helping people be successful because I knew how to build a business because I did it. And so I guess to make a long story short is that I'm kind of because I don't have your kind of acumen of the way of processes and the way you're able to put things together. I have a lot of skills. I've got people skills. I'm great with people. I'm a good motivator. I'm a great salesperson. I sold $24 million in portraits over my career.
nice.
But I'm kind of at a place where I don't direction wise to do all this stuff. It's like you're saying, like a one-person show, and then all the the YouTube thing and all that. So I guess what I'm saying is I have a lot to offer, but I don't have a lot of direction, best way to go, because I hate being retired. So I'm building all these other things, but I'm not really getting anywhere other than I'm making some money. It's fine. It's nothing like I used to. I'm happy because I'm helping people, but I really feel like I have a shitload of experience, but I'm not taking advantage of it.
Yeah. I mean, the big question is, what do you want?
Like anybody else, you work hard, you want to make money. And although I'm very comfortable, I would like to build something that, has a combination that makes me feel good, like I'm doing something and helping people, but I'm also experiencing some growth. Because you can only grow so much one person, right?
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, I'd look at what you want besides the money, right? So I hear you say that you like helping people. Do you want to, I mean, for me, building a team was really hard because I was that I got really good at just being in my own little world. And I considered that at some point, maybe I should just be the programmer and never have this company grow bigger than I could just do basically everything myself and not have a team. And going from being good at stuff myself, like you're saying, to leading a team to do good work, man, that's been a journey, right? It's really taken time to learn how to do that. It's a completely different skill set. It's helpful to be I think it's really powerful to be able to do. I think it's fair to say that pretty much every single thing that we do at my company, I could do, right? I wouldn't love it. I wouldn't be the greatest at it, but I could do every single thing. I think that's extremely powerful because you can't fuck with me, right? I know how the sausage is made in every single piece, and you can't mess around, right? So that's awesome. But now then translating that to actually being able to lead a team to get them to do great work, you have to learn that skill set. And I realized that as hard as it is and how as much as it sometimes sucked figuring it out, it was something that I had to do. Because if I want to get where I want to go, if I want to realize my purpose, my mission, it's just, there's no way. I just have to. And so I'm curious for you where you're at. being retired and all, is that something that you want to take on? Because I would highly encourage that, but you just have to really make the decision like, all right, I'm gonna have to, I want to figure this out.
Well, I think to start with, to become, like, to spread my skills out over a larger base, I need to communicate, be able to communicate with more people. And I'm locked in this little world of my little Facebook. It's not little, but it's
Right.
still a small world. I need to
Right.
get outside that universe because I have a lot to offer and I have a great message that I've actually made a lot of people very successful. So I know it doesn't work just for me, but
Yeah.
my universe is really small. And I think that's the biggest challenge for me right now.
Yeah.
The knowledge of what you said. Oh, you need to go this, you need to do the YouTube this, and you know, I'm like, I'm 73 years old, and most of my career I didn't even have an internet, so
Yeah.
it's a bit of a challenge for me. Like, I could work in your company, you'd make me a salesman, I'd make you a boatload of money because I'm good at selling and with people, but I don't want to do one-on-one. I want to build something of my own. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say like build, like make that a commitment, build a small team and figure out the YouTube short thing. Figure out the TikTok game.
Okay,
Right.
so then the big question is, I need one other person who has that acumen, right? To start with. How do you
You
find
need-
that person?
Yeah. Well, so you can go two routes, right? You can build it in-house, build your own team, or you can hire an agency. I'm doing both. I'm hiring, I hired Ryan McGinn's team. What are they called? Viral edits, they're called. And I hired them because they're the best in the business. I hired someone else before that, but I went to, and I had to like track him down. Like I literally stalked him at an event in person funny story. So I met Ryan a year ago at an event in Orlando with some of his clients and some like big names in kind of the men's world, manosphere as they call it. And he was doing their stuff. And so I met him, I got his cell number. And then 6 months later, I reached out and I was like, hey, like, I want to hire you to work with you now. And he just ignored me. And then like I texted again and he ignored me. And I was like, what the fuck? And so then I met him in September at an event where he was speaking. And I went up to him and said, hey, like, I want to hire you. Like, then he's like, we can't take any more on. Like, we're busy. We're like, we can't take any clients. I'm like, that's fine. I want to hire you. And then he was like, and then he's like, all right, I'll text you. And then we'll go. I was like, so he didn't text me. Then I cornered him once more. And then he was like, yeah, I'll introduce you to my Brooks, my business partner. I'm like, all right, cool. Didn't happen. Then I cornered him once again, a third time. And then I was like, while I was staying here, give me Brooks's phone number so I can reach out to him. And he did. And then I contacted Brooks and then we got to work with him. So it took some work for me to even become a client. Anyway,
But you knew who the guy was. See, that's the point. The
I
point
knew
is
who he
you
was.
knew the one to
Yeah.
go to.
Yeah, but
That's
that
the
was
big,
just,
that's a big deal.
it was random, man. I was just having lunch with some other people at this event. And then like, I happened to be at the speaker's table. I wasn't a speaker, but I just happened to be where it wasn't the speaker's table, but just a bunch of speakers there. And Ryan happened to be there. And then I think it was a few months later, someone else, Sam that I work with, he was like, Ryan McGinn's the man. And then I was like, oh, I have his number. Then I put the dots together. So it was kind of random. It was just putting myself out there, going to these events, meeting people, right? And then you build the relationships and you figure out who does it. Anyway, my point for you is like, you can go the agency route like I'm doing, or you can go the in-house route, which I'm also doing. So I hire the agency to see what they're doing, and then we copy every single thing that they're doing. And eventually I want to bring that in-house because I want everything to be integrated, but I'll hire the agency that is the best to learn from them, right? And so for you, you can hire an agency. The challenge with an agency is that they're never going to know you as well as you know you. So I would make sure that you have, Bryson has turned into that for me, where I hired Bryson to do paid ads and just do old school direct response. But it turns out that he's good at that, but he has an ability to see me and my genius and help bring that out to the world. And so that's an incredible gift for me. So finding someone like Bryson on your team who understands marketing and who gets you and who can get, because you have so much in you. We want to get that out into the world, right? That, like you're saying. And so you want someone who just like lives and breathes you and everything that you know and talk about, and is personally really, what's beautiful about Bryson is that he's like, he actually loves the shit that I talk about, right? He's like, dude, I can't believe I'm getting paid to actually sit here and listen to you and edit your stuff. Like, you know, getting an education right here. I don't think he's saying that to blow smoke. I think he's actually genuine. That's what you want, right? An agency, they're going to get you some people that have some processes and they go through it, but they're not going to get you at that level. So I would say that's you like find that person. Again, for me, it happened organically. I was trying to hire for that role, and then I didn't get any traction. Then I stopped hiring for that role. Then I hired for a different role, and I found my person, right? So that's kind of how life works. So, you know, so
Yeah, I would probably, I'm thinking as you're talking about it, I'm thinking I'd have to have somebody more than like hiring. I have to have somebody who could like benefit from it, because
yeah,
there has to be
right.
some growth along the way, because
Exactly.
you have to, like I created this one course and it took me a long time because I'm such a perfectionist, you know,
Mhm.
and it's a good course, but then the course is sold, and then what? So actually the coaching has been like more reliable, like month to month as far as that. But
Yeah.
if you're going to get outside this little world of you doing everything, then you need somebody who's not just going to like say, okay, go make this, go make that, but it's like part of the process with something to gain from it.
Yeah.
So,
And maybe
yeah,
there's one of your
I don't-
coaching clients that wants to be that person.
yeah, I guess it's what you said earlier, that nobody knows it better than you, and you're kind of hesitant to get involved with somebody and then wind up that not being the person and spinning your wheels.
I was just agreeing because that's a real fear that people have. And I think we even talked about that in terms of just, you know, the turnover and the aspect of, you know, it may not work out with somebody, or how do you hire and give all you have and knowing that, you know, it may not work in 3-4 months down the line. And so I feel that, you know, where you're coming from, Jeff, in terms of
Yeah.
like that concern, like, you know, I don't want to waste my time and just kind of, you know, be back at square with zero, you know, in another month or another 6 months from now.
Yeah, I think you got to find people who have the skills that you don't have.
Yeah,
Because
100%. Right.
and then knowing that is the trick. You know, it's the same thing when I coach people in business. I say your business is like a chain, and you have your photography link, your sales link, your marketing link, and your management. And if any one of those links is strong, then business won't work. You've got to be strong on all the links. And so finding someone else who if you can't do those links, if you can't sell or whatever, you need to find that right person.
Totally.
Just the challenge.
And just like with paid ads, like hiring people is a risk, right? You pay up front and they may or may not work out, but you're paying anyway, right? So
yeah,
and that's just part of
you're right.
part of the,
that's true.
Yeah, it's part of the business, it's part of the game. And for me, like now I'm at a scale where we're like 30-ish people. We've hired quite a few lately. And one of the beautiful things when you reach that scale is now like you hire someone for something, but then it turns out their genius is really something else. You can kind of start moving pieces around. When you're smaller, it's a little bit harder to do that. But yeah, I would definitely say get in the game of the short video form, because that's what's working. It's what's going to be working for the next, 18, 24 months probably. And get in the game of finding that person. I always, if it's a critical thing, I overhire. So I'll hire two people for the same thing, and then I'll keep the one that works the best, right? Or maybe it turns out one is better at something and one is a little better, and I keep both of them, right? But if you hire one person and they don't work out, and then like you just lost 4 months, right?
I got an idea for you actually, because I've been with your company for a few years now, and actually I sell my course through you, and it runs through the Stripe and the whole thing, and then now I'm building out a member site and everything. So I'm having somebody do all that because it's not my strength. But in any case, for you, there's this company in Australia called Curious, And what they do is they specialize kind of in photographers, but I think they can do it any. And what they do is they can get you like a following for like a Facebook and Instagram, right, for your business to get you clients. But
Mhm.
they don't, you know, you pay Meta or whatever, but they are really good at like getting all that out of man. And I think they charge like $2,500 a month per client. And
Okay.
they're just kicking ass. And they're from Australia. They're kicking ass in the country because they're making a lot of people in my industry a lot of money.
Dude,
I
I'm
can't
interested.
really. Most of the people that I'm coaching now are not high end people, so they're not going to
Right.
pay $2,500 a month. But I'm thinking for myself, if they could kind of open my small universe of my Facebook site into get
Right.
outside that, you know, and if you
Yeah.
could, my point is for your company, you're so good at this, there's a tremendous opportunity there because the basic problem with most people, like who are your clients, is not the software management. It's driving clients
Totally.
and growing their universe.
Yeah.
And because she's producing results. So these people, so anyway,
Jeff, do me a favor, send me an email, calvin@simplero.com with the info about those guys.
yeah.
I do have to run. I have a plane to catch. I'm flying back to New York. All right. So thank you everybody who showed up. Like I said, down here in Florida, headed back to New York right now. I'm going to land at JFK airport at the same time my parents are landing from Copenhagen, or that's what I thought until last night when I got a text from my dad saying, we've landed. I'm like, what the, you're a day early. I booked a hotel for you from tomorrow. Like, what's up? So apparently my parents have been in town now for about a day. So I'm going to fly up there and hang out with them. Thanks everybody for showing up, and I'll see you guys next week. Have an awesome week.